Welcome, my name is Derek Pruick. I'm a flight instructor at East Texas based at Tyler Pounds Airfield. The identifier is KTYR. You're receiving this link to this video because I've had this conversation so many times, and I'm sorry to say I just don't have the time to talk about this for half an hour with each and every person. So I'm sending you this video so that you can review the information as many times as you like and come to me with your questions afterward. You can give me a phone call, or you can reach out to me on my email at derekpcfi@gmail.com. You'll notice the comments are turned off. It's not that I don't want to hear from you guys, I do. However, there is a secret passphrase that you're going to need to know. Whenever we have a conversation next time, if you don't give me what the passphrase is, I'm going to know you didn't watch the video all the way through. This video applies to flight training with me and at Tyler Airfield. However, this information transfers nationwide. The specifics will change, but in general, it's about the same. So to start off, who's in charge of setting the regulations and requirements for flight training? And that's going to be the Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA. They set the standard and say, this is what you must do to qualify to be a pilot. Those rules are laid out in the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 14. You'll hear me call them FARs, or Federal Aviation Regulations. There's two types of flight schools or flight training routes that you can go. The first is Part 61, which is probably the route that you're going to be going down. That's, you walk into an airfield and you walk into the lineman, or you meet a flight instructor and you say, hey, I want to learn how to fly. And we say, okay, and we throw you in the plane and off we go. Then there's the other part, Part 141. Part 141 tends to be more along the lines of a college degree. It's not always related to college, but generally speaking, it's a highly regimented method of training. You have to hit each box in order in this way, however the program says that you have to do it. There are some benefits to going through a Part 141 program. One of those being a restricted ATP, which means that you can get to the airlines at less than 1,500 hours. You can go for 1,100, 1,200. It depends on how the program is set up. That being said, there is a drawback to a Part 141 program. If you don't meet the standards, you get kicked out and you've lost your money. You can then come to a Part 61 school, but we'll basically have to start over. Not necessarily from a skill point, but just to understand where you're at in your training and your understanding of the information. It's the same information regardless. One other thing that you should be aware of is that Part 141 programs generally have a higher cost. There is financial services available. You can take out a student loan often, but not always. Do your own research, figure out what works best for you. Once you've decided if you want to go to college or if you want to come to an airfield and do Part 61 or Part 141, the next thing you need to know is what's required. The first thing is, how old do you have to be? The answer is you can start as early as you want. As long as you can reach the controls and see, you can start. However, we can't let you solo the aircraft or fly on your own until 16 years old. You are not allowed to have a private pilot license until 17 years old. If you decide that you want to do this commercially and go professional, you have to be 18 years old to be able to challenge the commercial pilot test. You must also be able to read, write, and speak the English language without any assistance. There are exceptions, but they're usually pretty specific, and it's usually more on the Part 141 side. If you meet the age and language requirements, then you'll have to be able to demonstrate aeronautical knowledge, which is laid out in Part 61-105. I'll have a link in the description as far as what that entails. After that is skills. You'll have to demonstrate your flying skills that are laid out in Part 61-107. Again, link in the description. Now, during flight training, there's going to be three different types of testing phases. The first is going to be ground school. Ground school is a couple of options that you can take when it comes to learning the information. Option one, you can hire an instructor like myself, and we can sit down in person in a classroom and I can teach you the information. However, my suggestion is going to be an online ground school. The online ground school is a pay once and you're done. Otherwise, it's paying me hourly. Some options. I'm going to put the text up here so you know how to spell it. First is M0A. M0A is a subscription-based service, so they have a month-by-month pay, and they give you access to all of the information for private pilot, instrument, commercial, and even CFI. They have weekly seminars, and there's a whole bunch of instructors that are in that system that will help you with any questions you've got. They have a student section and a community overall that you can tap into. The second is Gold Seal. Gold Seal is going to be a pay once and you've got the information for a year. Another option is Sporties. Sporties is known by many pilots all over the world. They're also a pilot shop. The last one is King's School. The Kings have been around forever. They're very well established. My suggestion, go on YouTube and look at these names and see which one works best for their presentation style that you like. Now, one key factor or key thing that I need to throw out, during your search, you're gonna come across Shepherd Air. Shepherd Air is great for test preparation, but it doesn't do very much for preparing you to know the knowledge. It is just test prep. So if you want to use Shepherd Air, which I encourage you to do, go through ground school first, then use Shepherd Air. Once you complete ground school, you'll receive an endorsement. That endorsement will allow you to go and take the written examination. The written examination is also known as the knowledge test. One note on the online ground schools: if you have a friend that has gone through their ground school using one of these services, do not use their account. You need to create your own account. The accounts are uniquely registered to you, so even if you go through their material and you ask for an endorsement, they will not change the name. You need to create your own account to receive an endorsement. So the first is ground school, taking their quizzes. The second is your written examination. The third is going to be your practical examination, also known as the check ride. The check ride is two parts. The first is an oral exam where the DPE, or the designated pilot examiner, will give you a scenario and a cross-country plan, and you'll talk about the regulations, what kinds of things you need to worry about. They're going to test your knowledge of the material that you've been learning. The second part of the check ride is the practical test. This is where they're going to test the actual flight skills that you've acquired during your training. If everything's up to snuff, you get a pilot's license. Now, if you've called me, you're probably hoping to start flight training pretty quickly. I have to say, in March 2023, when I'm recording this, I am very busy. I've got a full load of students. It's going to be a little bit before I can actually get you in the cockpit to start flying. So in the meantime, my suggestion is to start ground school online. If you have questions or you want me to teach you, I can probably work you into the schedule and help you with any material that you're struggling with. One other suggestion that I have is to get a hold of and get your medical. You'll need an air medical examiner for that examination, and you'll need at least a third-class medical. If you plan to go professional, my suggestion is to get a Class 1 medical. The reason is that the Class 1 medical and the Class 3 medical, there's a lot of disqualifying stuff in between the two. And you need to find out early if you're going to meet your goals of airlines or professional flying. I'll have a name for one of those doctors that's in the Tyler area down below in the description. It'll have a link to their website. You can contact them and set up an examination. If that person doesn't work, give me a call or email me and I will help you find another medical examiner. If you're outside of the Tyler or East Texas area, contact your local flight school. The instructors there will be able to help you. Quick note, why get a medical this early? Because there have been people who have started flying and gotten right up to solo, didn't have their medical, and then found out that they were disqualified for one reason or another, and all that money that they spent is just gone. They can't ever get a pilot's license because they're medically disqualified. So I would suggest do that now so you can find out whether this is going to be possible. That being said, one other suggestion is that give me a call back once this video is done. We can set up a discovery flight. Flying on a big jet and flying in a small aircraft like one of these behind me is very different. Some people can't tolerate it. You should find out early on if this is something that you can or want to do. Okay, we've talked about what's involved with flight training. We've talked about what you need to get started. What all is the requirements? Well, the FAA says that you have to have, I need to step over here. The FAA says that you have to have a minimum of 40 flight hours. The national average right now is about 60 to 65. When you're flying with me, you should plan to fly 3 times a week for at least 2 hours. Now, if you do less than that, 2 is really the absolute minimum for this reason. If you only fly once a week, you're not building any skill, you're just maintaining what you have. If you fly twice a week, you're building a little bit of skill and you're adding to what you already know. When you fly 3 times a week, you're building a lot on your skill. And if you have a bad weather day, you're still building, you're not just maintaining. As of recording, the national average is somewhere about the 60 to 65 mark. So you should plan accordingly for your flight hours and expenses. Let's talk about the expenses. Oh, real quick, before we talk about that, a general timeline. On average, most people take 4 to 6 months to get their private pilot's license. That time varies quite a bit. depending on the time of year that you fly and your ability to pick up new skills. Okay, onto the cost. This is the big question that everybody's got. To give you a big round number, the average cost for a private pilot's license is somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000. And that's at the minimum for the 40 flight hours. The national average right now seems to be at 60, so most people sit closer to that 15 than that 12. Now, there are some exceptions and ways around that, but ultimately you should really plan on no less than $10,000 to get your private pilot's license. I'm gonna go through an itemized list of things real quick that you will have to pay for, and there's not really a way around some of this stuff. To itemize the costs, you've got ground school, which varies a little bit, but let's say $250 for that. A knowledge test fee, you'll have to go to a testing center to take your knowledge test. There is a fee associated, that's $175. If you fly here at Tyler Pounds Airfield and you rent aircraft from Johnson Aviation, that's $160 an hour. You'll need an instructor when you fly. 1 second. Stand by. Oh, okay. That's all done. Okay, so you'll need an instructor. Now, traditionally, flight instructors have charged based off of the Hobbs time, which means that when that engine is running, there's a little timer that's ticking. You get charged based on that engine time. I've decided to make the math a little simpler. I charge on a flat rate. So what that means is if we're scheduled from 10 to 12 and you and I only fly 1.5, the normal rate would be based on that 1.5. However, the way I'm doing it, I'm charging you from 10 to 12. I charge $50 an hour flat. Other instructors are charging more. Some are charging what I'm charging. You have to find out from each individual instructor or flight school how they charge. Next up is going to be the medical examiner fee. That averages about $110. If you go for the first class medical, I think it's a little higher, like $150 if I remember correctly. Next up, headsets. You will need a headset to be able to fly. Some places will allow you to rent. I know here at Tyler Pounds, we don't have any headsets for rental. I would suggest getting your own anyways. The headset options are wide-ranging. You can go as cheap as $50. You can go as high as $1,200. I personally use a Bose headset. That's one of the most expensive headsets on the market. However, I knew I was going to be doing this professionally and I would be flying my butt off, so I was willing to spend the money. Something I will suggest is use what's in your budget, but spend a little bit on your headset. Golly, man. There we go. Okay, spend a little bit on your headset. You'll be happy you did, because once you start taking these longer flights, your head gets uncomfortable and flying becomes less enjoyable. Okay, books and supplies. This has changed a little bit. Most everything is going digital now. You are very welcome to either download the FAA's books, which I will lay out with links of which books you will absolutely need. You don't have to buy them. The FAA offers them for free. But when it comes to other supplies, I would highly encourage you to have at least an iPad and a 4-flight subscription. I use digital logbooks. It's a lot easier for you and the DPEs. If you want to use both digital and written logbooks, I will do both. Talk to your instructor, if it isn't me, about what they want to do or are willing to do. Some instructors will not do digital logbooks, so find out before you make the investment. Oh, one other thing. 4-flight, I highly encourage it because they're making you get new paper charts every 3 months. And fewer places are actually able to get paper charts or sectionals whenever they come out, because everybody is moving towards iPads. So in total, your pilot supplies will vary wildly. It very much depends on what equipment it is that you want. Last one is the big one. This is the check ride fee, or the designated pilot examiner's fee. Different examiners have different rates. It ranges somewhere between $800 and $1,200 depending on the examiner. So you're gonna have, and there's no way around that one, and that one's cash. Most of them don't even accept checks anymore. When you call me back, I'm gonna wanna hear that you have the passphrase. Piper is gonna be the passphrase. I've got it spelled up there. So what can you do to start? Well, first, go check out ground school, see if we can get you on for a discovery flight, and try and get your medical scheduled. Okay, you've made it to the end of the video. If you still have questions and you're not in the East Texas area, go ahead and reach out to me at derekpcfi@gmail.com. If you are one of my students and you have my cell phone number, give me a call back. Let's see if we can get you on the schedule. Also, give me your questions. I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, safe flying, and good luck in your training. Real quick before you go, I wanted to talk about the general order of things and how we operate here at the Tyler Pounds Airfield. If you have your own aircraft and we're flying out of a different field, we'll set up our own system. If we're at Tyler Pounds and you're renting their aircraft, you will have to sign a contract with Johnson Aviation and work with them about renting aircraft, and then you hire me independently. In the very beginning, before you solo, I will have to set you up on the schedule and reserve the aircraft. Once you get to your solo, you'll be added to a list of people who are allowed to be accessing the system, and you'll get a little badge so that you can access the ramp. And you'll be able to set up your own flights after that. You'll just coordinate with me and see if I have time available to come fly with you if it's a non-solo flight.